Guys, if there's a close fight, do we have the right to give the judges a hard time? I think that's an interesting question. We saw Holly Holm with Vieira, and the narrative coming out of that fight was people disagreed. They thought that Holly won. Okay, I don't disagree with you. I don't mind if you had a different opinion, but are you bullish on that? Do we all agree that was a really close fight? Do we all agree we're really not positive who won? We're not really positive how to score it? Because I think that does matter, right? When there's a robbery, when it's something obvious, it just turns into one of those things. That was a close fight. I don't think either athlete was definitive on what the result was going to be. And I don't think that we were either. Now, I wouldn't normally bring this to you, but Daniel Cormier put out a tweet. Daniel put out a tweet apologizing to all of you because he said he told you that Holly Holm won the fight and that he was wrong that Vieira won the fight. Okay, fine. So what? Whatever. But he went a little further to say he's going to MMA school soon. He's going to judging school soon. He looks forward to being a student and learning the game. I changed those words completely. I did my best to get you close. I wasn't trying to quote there. But I want to tell you what that means. What Daniel's talking about, I believe, they have been trying to get the announcers, I will go into that category, and the MMA judges together. Get us all into a room so that the judges can explain to us what it is they're looking for so that we can give an analysis that's a little bit better. Now, I don't believe that at all. There's not even a little fraction of me that believes it's so that we could do a better job with our analysis. What I believe entirely, 100% of it is so that we as announcers don't give them a hard time. Now, I'm okay with that. I don't know why that wasn't just said. I will disclose. And fair, I feel like they should have just said, hey, could we sit down? We feel like you're roughing us up on the mic a little bit. But moreover, my problem with that is you now have hearsay. You now have hearsay if this meeting amongst the judges and the announcers takes place. I don't care if it does. If I'm told to show up, I will show up. I'll be polite. This is not some hill that I want to die on, right? This isn't like some big argument. I just look at it a little bit confusing. I go, okay, hold on. Where are we having this meeting at? Well, we're going to have it in Vegas. Okay, great. Is Jeff Mullen showing up? It's very important. Jeff Mullen, by the way, is as good of an executive director as this sport has ever had, but it is very relevant because he is in charge in Las Vegas. Now, stay with me. Nevada. If we have a meeting that takes place in Nevada and the announcers come in and the judges come in and the judges then tell us what they're looking for, the reason I call that hearsay, the judges are instructed by Jeff Mullen as to what the rules are. They are then to imply their objective interpretation to that. But if the judges come in and tell us announcers, right, it's not the same thing. If the judges were told by Jeff Mullen, we need to be told by Jeff Mullen. It should not be the judges telling the announcers. Did I say that clearly? Do you guys see where that becomes a problem? Because if we, the announcers, start hovering and or looking through the lens of what the judge is looking for, we could be just as wrong as they are. And I'm not implying that they're wrong. What I'm sharing is it's a very simple set of rules put forward by the commission, ran by the executive director. They were instructed by and licensed by the executive director. So if the executive director then wants to come in and tell the announcers, you still have an objective interpretation of the rules. But you don't have that as somebody who gets told then comes and gives you the message. It's got to be equal or there's no point. I also get a little bit confused if we're going to do that in Nevada. Because while we do run a lot of fights out of Nevada, we don't run them all. There's 50 different jurisdictions, and there's nuances within each. So to sit down and hear what they're looking for, and then what happens? The announcers are just supposed to carry him the whole night. I don't know why Daniel was apologizing. Daniel had it the same way. Daniel is not a licensed judge, but Daniel saw that Holly Holm won, which is the exact same thing that a licensed judge said. It was a split decision. So there was a licensed judge, of which Daniel is not, that agreed with Daniel. So now it's not a matter of the judges and the announcers not agreeing. It's the matter of the judges don't agree with their fellow judges, which is why we bring in 3. It's a very good system. It's very good. And if for the show standard, the audience who is you finds it annoying that the announcer would give his interpretation or his guess or his unofficial scorecard throughout the course of events, well, we're having a completely different conversation. I do think that it's relevant, and I don't know what those are told. I could get a hold of Jeff Mull. I've never called him, but I could also go look those rules up. I never have. I feel like I know what I'm looking at. And I do know in all of the jurisdictions, the number one standard in the 10-9 system, in all the jurisdictions, all 50 plus tribal territory, plus even combatant in places that we go overseas, the number one is damage. It's damage followed by octagon control. I don't know them all. I think that there's a total of 4. I don't know them all, but that's enough. That's enough because I'm not judging it. I don't have to be perfectly, but I can come and share with the audience in between rounds as a voice and or an announcer who I believe did the most damage. Sure. Get you close enough, then we'll go look at it at the end of the night. But I don't think that there's any kind of a problem with judging. I just don't. I think that the judges really look at it objectively. I think that they're very well trained. I like the hierarchy and the system that the administrations have the judges go through before they get into the bigger fights and work their way up. They do the same thing with the referees. It seems very appropriate. And then you're always going to have opinion. That's okay too. And we don't all have to agree, but I will share for you, if ultimately the announcer's job is to help Harry and make a show interesting, if the announcer is just telling you what he was told in a back room by a judge as a way of agreeing with the judge, we don't know what the judges are saying. Like, you don't know that you're being confrontational with a judge. The announcers aren't shown the scores in between rounds. They don't know. There's no open scoring. They're not tipped off. Somebody doesn't come and whisper in their ear. So you don't know that you're disagreeing. You think that you're all seeing the same thing. I'm just saying there's really no villain in the story. But if you are going to get the judges and the announcers together, that's a little bit weird. The judges don't make the policy. The judges were instructed and told the policy. So if you're going to bring the announcers in, it has to be same. You have to bring the person in that told them that. Otherwise, you have hearsay. Not to mention, who cares if we don't agree? In all fair, who cares if the announcer says the judges got it wrong? That doesn't make the announcer right. The executive director will take a look at that. And again, the checks and balances are perfect. The promotion either won't keep coming back or the governor won't keep those people. But like, there's checks and balances everywhere. And I will tell you, in the sport of MMA, we're really good. We are really, really good. Maybe that wasn't always true, but we have fantastic leadership right now. And I don't think there's a reason to cloud it. And I really don't think that somebody should get their feelings hurt because an announcer who's unlicensed happened to see it differently than you did. Daniel, which he did publicly, admitted to everybody, I'm not the one that you should believe. I had an opinion, but the one you should believe is the one that actually scored it. It doesn't seem to me that there's any kind of disagreement here.